Okay, well, welcome back everybody. Hope you enjoyed the little break. Welcome to our wonderful sponsors. Again, thank you very much for joining us today. Please give everybody a wet round of applause who's on our panel. And this is how the proceedings will go. I would like each of our sponsors to stand and present themselves, but they have 1 minute, which will probably go to 2 minutes, but they have 1 minute. And then after that, I will then open the floor for questions and answers. I have a timer. If I stand up and if I say, okay, that question's been exhausted, I'm sorry, I have to move on, then we'll just move on. You all can all agree to that? Yeah, that's great, lovely. No arguments. We shall be now, sponsors, you all know where your order of introductions come from? Have you got an order? Brett, do you know where you're coming from? Yeah, great. So Debbie's first, so thank you, Debbie.
Okay. So I'm not a sponsor tonight. I'm here in a dual role. One is a long-term member of Uniting Bookkeepers. I've probably been not the original like Joe, but I've probably been a Uniting member for at least 5 years, and it's just been an integral part of my business. And twofold, the other side of my business is MYOB. So I specialise in MYOB. I live, eat, breathe MYOB. So I'm a certified consultant. I'm an accredited trainer and also a retail manager professional. So that's my role tonight. Any questions, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Sue's kindly given us a minute, but I think I can do this in 30 seconds. My name's Fiona Willane and my business is called Accounts by the Book Westlakes, and I've been a bookkeeper. I've had my own bookkeeping business for 7 years, and I'm an MYOB. I started as an MYOB and QuickBooks professional partner, and I've been an MYOB certified consultant for 5 years, and I've recently got a breathe. Included in the 30 seconds. I've recently become a QuickBooks accredited partner. MYOB have a fantastic logo called Love Your Work, and that just sums it up for my business. I just love my work, and I also love Uniting Bookkeepers.
Hello, my name is Tony Storr. I'm here representing Toyne Business Consultants. We're a small firm in Newcastle. We've been in place for about 12 years and we specialise in small businesses. We like to keep things simple and not overcomplicate things for the clients. Just, keep on the same level so that nothing's too complicated. I specialise in self-managed super. That's what I actually love. And one of the things we have to say tonight, as I introduce myself, is why we sponsored Uniting Bookkeepers. And I was thinking about that, and there's a few reasons. Firstly, working with the clients, I think they actually need a team of advisors. And one of them is your accountant, your financial planner, your solicitor. And I think the bookkeepers are another advisor. And I think it's important that we all have a good relationship so that it's easy for the client. Obviously, we want to support Sue and Julie, and I guess from our business point of view, the better the bookkeeping is that comes to us, the better it makes our job. So, thank you.
Thanks, Tony.
Hi, I'm Peter Coughlin. I conduct my own small business consulting operation. I've had 30 years of compliance, working for providing services of a obviously compliance, regulatory, tax nature. About 4.5 years ago, I went out on my own, basically as I call myself an at-call financial controller. What that really means is that I'm talking to a room full of people, of bookkeepers. You know that the numbers rule the world, but I'd suggest we also need, with those numbers, you need analysis and interpretation and planning, and that's where I come in. So you guys prepare the material, I'm then the one who can assist the client in understanding what those numbers mean, provide almost a devil's advocate role in terms of changes they might need, help them planning for the future, and as I say, acting like a financial controller, and that's very much a longer term strategic role, whereas you're providing the operational detail, attention to detail. So, and it's out of that I'm here as a supporter of Uniting Bookkeepers. I think it's a wonderful organisation, anything that's going to encourage the maintenance and improvement of bookkeeping skills that provides better information to businesses, I think is to be applauded. So well done to Uniting.
Hello, I'm Shirley Dalton from Dalton Business Systems, and we specialise in developing people, process and procedures. So we don't get into the accounts, we don't get into the numbers, we don't get into the marketing, we don't get into the HR. It's people, process and procedures. And one of the reasons that I joined to sponsor the Uniting Bookkeepers is because I saw that there was a great opportunity there. As I'm dealing with businesses that have 14, 15 employees, a couple of $1 million turnover, then there's often a need for some bookkeeping and for some systems work. And so it's a great opportunity for me to be able to refer. So if I can get to know the people in the Uniting Bookkeepers, then it gives me 30 or 40 people that I can say, here's somebody that might be able to help you. And then vice versa, if you're out there dealing with those clients, then you might be able to refer them as well. So I think it's a good fit. And I just love Sue and Julie. So that's a real good reason.
Hi everyone, I'm Brett Price from Price Williams White Accounting and Business Advisors. We're a boutique firm in Newcastle, offering accounting and tax advice to small to medium enterprises. We also have a financial planning division and do risk insurance for clients. We offer a holistic approach for our clients. Been involved with Uniting for about 2 years now, and I was talking to Tony before, and Tony said, what networking do I do? And I said, I only do one, and this is it. This is the best networking in Newcastle, in my opinion. So hopefully I can continue.
Good evening, I'm Jade Fawkes and I'm from Forsyths Recruitment. At Forsyths, I've already probably bored you all last month talking about recruitment and what that process means, but at Forsyths Recruitment we basically cover all aspects of industries, and I guess we became sponsors of Uniting Bookkeepers because we were meeting a lot of candidates who were bookkeepers like yourselves, maybe working part-time and wanted to subsidise that income with some temporary work or part-time permanent work. And so from there we were introduced to Julie and to Sue, and after coming along it was evident that this was a great bunch of people to be a part of and to help from a HR perspective. So yeah.
Hello, my name's Lloyd Kerr. I'm with Jersh Sutherland. Our areas are insolvency, forensic accounting, and recently intellectual property law. The last one in particular, I make no claims to know anything about. My area predominantly is insolvency, and that can be broken out into personal, corporate, so bankruptcies, liquidations, voluntary administrations, receiverships, and all the variations thereon. And if you want the thumbnail sketch of what that means, we clean up messes. Now, the particular reasons for being involved with Uniting Bookkeepers are twofold. One, I would say that I suffer more than most from poor books and records. So the more I can support people who are meant to put them into a workable form, the better I like it. The second reason, of course, is that I'm scared of Sue, and so thank you.
I'm Anna Harrower. I'm from Anderson Vidray Chartered Accountants. We're a firm of about 23 staff, a good mix of administration and professional staff. I've been with the firm for 12 years, I think, this year. I started as a trainee and worked my way through.
The reason we decided to sponsor Uniting Bookkeepers, one, it's a great networking forum, but it also provides us with a network of bookkeepers to advise our clients on. We find a lot of our businesses need a bookkeeper, and often we're the ones to tell them that they need a bookkeeper. There's nothing worse than getting accounts, that are completely messed up, and it ends up costing the client, wastes our time. So we like to put bookkeepers in where we can. So it provides us with a network, and we all win. Thanks.
Lucky last. My name's Lenore Miller from Ignite Your Business Mojo. Most of you have probably met me a few times. I work with small business owners, and when I say that, I mean most of my clients have 10 or less employees. Many of them are in that real growth phase where they're going, how do I put on my next employee? How do I make my business deliver what it is that I'm looking for? And often they're looking for some harmony between their life and their business. I'm not sure how many people have ever got so caught up in their business they felt like they didn't have a life. And many of my clients feel like that. So it's really about putting, the right numbers on the bottom. I do work with numbers. I do work with marketing. So complimentary to Shirley. And, really get you what you want from your business. I also have a book, if some of you will have a copy. Why did I join? Sue made me? No, joking. I'm a sponsor.
She's mean.
I just got to throw that in, but it's not the truth. Sue and I get on very well. But I came along as a speaker a couple of times, and I just decided to hang out a bit more, and it's just such a great group of people, and I really like Sue and Julie. But at the end of the day, many of my clients need bookkeepers. And a lot of your clients need someone to keep them on track in their business. So I think there are some great synergies for us to work together to get your clients more of what they want and to get my clients organised with their bookkeeping. So that's why I'm here. And I kind of love coming along and hanging out, and that's a good reason.
Here I am thinking that they were going to ramble on, so that's great. Thank you.
We're scared of you.
Are you all scared of me?
Yes.
I've got a big ring. Oh, my ring, yes. I said, no, I won't go there. Okay, so I'm going to open the floor now. Can you all hear at the back? You all good? Okay, so questions to our panel.
I've got one. I'd like to ask Peter.
Oh, thanks.
Who's going to win on Saturday, Geelong or Collingwood? Geelong.
Collingwood.
No way! You don't mean that, do you?
Any team but Geelong.
Or any team but Collingwood.
Yeah.
All right, we'll leave that aside. Now tell me, how do I convince a client that is in growth mode, like super growth mode, to call you in to assist them? So I've got a client in my mind that is really in super growth mode, and budgeting, they go every Monday, well, can we afford this and can we afford that? And this is like in the tens, 20,000, 30,000, 50,000. And it's like, so, okay, I'm going to go, stop. How do I pitch you to go, let's call in this financial controller?
Okay. What I'd suggest, one of the best ways I've come up at this stage, firstly, I prefer it if there's just an opportunity to get in front of a client for myself, and I'll offer an hour or so, no cost, no obligation, so that they can hear directly from me, because that way I get a more direct understanding of what they're after. But another way of looking at it for yourself is saying it's a bit like information, or an analogy to say, if you drive a car and you want to improve the fuel consumption performance, you don't just keep on doing what you're doing. You get out there, you get the information, you analyse the way you drive, you get what's your current performance. You get all of the various bits of information. So, do you need to change your driving behaviour? Do you need to use the freeway more than taking the shortcut that involves all the traffic lights? All the examples have suddenly disappeared from my mind. But again, you need information to be able to make better decisions. Okay, so without the decisions, the type of client you were talking about is in a situation where they're always fighting fires. They can't do any long-term planning. They've got no idea where it's like. Most of the time you're probably coming in more often with bad news that's going to put them under stress. So what we then do is sit down with them, start managing the information system so they understand where they're at, what they're going to do, and out of that they can then take a longer term view. They get more information, they improve their decision making, and it just keeps on snowballing. You look at the difference between your large corporates, your multinationals and the like, their performance inevitably is better than most small businesses, and the difference is they've got more timely information. I had a mate of mine who worked for not a good name in the current market, but Orica, going back quite a few years. They could actually have the full results for a month ready for release to the stock exchange by lunchtime of the first day of the month, the next month. But out of that, they were then able to make great business decisions. So what I'd be saying to you is the person who's always chasing their tail, not getting ahead, they need me because I'll help them get the information, and more particularly if you're providing the information, to analyse it and to start planning and working through it. So it's all about information and use of information.
Okay, that's great.
I've got a question for Shirley. What advice would you give a sole trader that's trying to be more efficient in their business?
So the question was, what advice would you give a sole trader who's trying to be more efficient in their business? Similar to what Peter was saying, and that is to think of your business as a big business. And so thinking about putting checklists in place, putting templates in place so that things become a no-brainer. And then as your business grows, you can put someone on and that they know exactly what they have to do. So it's a little bit of thinking in terms of, well, if I was franchising this, or if I had somebody else working for me, then what would I need to teach them, and what would we show them without thinking about it? So.
Can I just ask Shirley, but how do you take the time to stop in a business and go, how do I create that checklist? Like, obviously in consultation, but without the, like, if you're looking at a business that's turning over probably around about the 100,000, could they stop and do it themselves, which they won't stop and do it themselves, or do... What makes them go externally to somebody like you? Like, what is it?
2 reasons. They either don't know how to do it, or they haven't got the time to do it, and yet they need it. One business that we're working with at the moment, we've been going through their processes and procedures, and they've actually found over $100,000 in lost revenue that was going out the door because they weren't on top of their processes. Particularly with some of their advertising methods. So some people will recognise that they need that, and then will put their hand up and make the investment. Another way you can do it, though, is to do it as you're going. And so you create it at that time. So if you find yourself on the telephone, for example, with somebody, then make a note or record what you're actually saying, and then you've got a telephone script. and then you can pass that on to somebody else, or you can make an inquiry sheet and you're taking your notes. Okay, I need their name, address, their telephone number. What are the questions that I ask them? How long have you been in business? Whatever the questions are you're asking them, then write it on a scrappy piece of paper. And you can go to a virtual assistant these days and give them a scrappy piece of paper and say, make a beautiful form, please. And they can do that. So you can actually create it on the go.
That's good.
Could I also, just on that point, agree entirely with Shirley, but sometimes it might need a bit of tough love from yourself to say to that client, look, unless you make that investment, you are just going to be doing the same thing next week, next year, in 10 years' time. You're never going to get anywhere unless you make that investment. And you call in, Shirley, and you work on your procedures and policies, etc. Otherwise, they're just doomed to keep on repeating it. Sometimes that tough love of looking them in the face and saying, mate, unless you do something, this is your lot for the rest of your business life. Maybe that's what they need to hear.
Or go and see Lloyd.
Actually, it ties in really well as to Lloyd. Some years ago, Lloyd and I worked with a client of mine who was going to be bankrupt. I had another accountant, none of you guys, another accountant I worked with, and he refused to see somebody. He said, no, this client owes me money, so I'm not going to see anybody. I'm not going to send him to a liquidator. So I was in a bit of a rough spot because I didn't know what to do. I knew this company was trading insolvently. He couldn't pay his bills. There was not money coming in, so I didn't really know what to do. I waited 3 months before I finally went to Lloyd and said, Lloyd, I think this guy's in trouble. What can I do? I went over the accountant's head, went straight to Lloyd, and Lloyd really saved him from a lot of heartache. So my question is, Lloyd, I know it was some time ago that I asked this question and there was a lot of debate about what we were supposed to do, but as a bookkeeper, if we don't have the consent of the accountant and if they're not coming on board, what can we do as bookkeepers to test to see whether that client really is in serious trouble and we need to go to you directly? Do you think that's a breach of professionalism, or can we do that as bookkeepers if we feel that that's important?
I think that's a number of questions in one. One of the first things you'd have to make up your mind, who is your client? Is it the accountant that you pass the books on to, or is it the business owner that you prepare the basic information for? I would suggest that your duty of care is to the business owner. Now, it would be much more difficult for you if you had spoken to the accountant and been told, no, I do not believe that this is necessary. I believe that it will cause more harm than good to go to somebody like me. If you've got other advisors, be it an accountant, a coach, a solicitor, who's just saying, no, not my problem, then fine, do what you like. I think your greatest difficulty is where you've got somebody who is set against taking the step. And I think the way around it for you is just to point out that you are not telling that business owner if it's a sole trader, you should go bankrupt, or if it's a company, you should go into administration. You are telling them, go for an initial free chat with somebody who may be able to give you some information and may be able to help you clarify your options. Because at that point, you're not doing anything definitive, you're just providing them with some information.
Providing a contact, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Question for Anna. What's the current 2012 payroll tax rate and threshold, and what is it as of the 1st of January?
Oh,
2012, the threshold is 678,000 and the rate's 5.45%, and that's the rate all through the year. They were doing some half-year rate adjustments prior to that, but this year it's 5.45 for the whole year.
So it's not going to change?
No, for this year, no.
So they're actually not stating that in the actual period?
Well, in previous years, they've given you the future 6 months. Yeah, no, it's 5.45 for the whole year. Yeah. Yeah.
No stuffing around this year.
Sorry?
No stuffing around this year.
Oh, it was just insane. Why do 6 months to January? Why not go run it for the whole year and change it the next year? It's just
I've got a question for Brett. A few of us in the room went to our riveting ATO seminar the other week. We love it. And there's all this talk about the ATO ramping up audits. You need to see everything. What's the future and what's going to be happening?
Yeah, you always hear it. You always hear that they're going to do X, Y, and Z, but it never seems to come to fruition. You're probably noticing all your clients a lot more activity, whether it be collection of debt or lodgement of returns or lodgement of outstanding BASs. And as far as audit activity, yeah, I've had 2 in the past week. They weren't audits, they're education visits, what they're calling education visits, so visiting clients and looking at their records. To me, it's a lead into an audit. I've heard they're cracking down this year on FBT. So be careful with clients. Often they'll buy the car in their own name and just tell the accountant, oh, we'll just put it in the company and we'll claim it in there. So none of that. I think that's all gone. FBT and contractors who are potentially employees. So looking at super, workers' comp and payroll tax issues. So yeah, I think they are. I think they're starting to ramp up their activity. We went through a long period of global financial crisis where the tax office pulled back. They were virtually giving Harvey Norman interest-free terms to clients. They didn't want clients to go out of business. Went through the other side. Mr Rudd's handed out all these $900 cheques. They've done all the stimulus activity and they're now on a collection avenue. So, yeah, just watch out for clients.
So leading into that, Jade, you mentioned in your presentation last week about contractors. Well, come on, Chicky. We want to know the real lowdown. Oh, Lou, you're not here. You're up here as a bookkeeper tonight. Just do a little contract with the ATO, but it's in a nice section. Come on, what is really, from a bookkeeper, we won't worry about builders or anybody else, what are our restrictions? When do we cross over into a deemed employee where they might not pay our wages, but they have to pay our superannuation, our payroll tax, blah, blah, blah? When is it?
That's a good question. In terms of superannuation, that should be paid as soon as your contract begins.
You contract, but who is the contract?
If you're deemed to be under contract.
Yeah, when are we deemed to be under contract? We give, terms of engagement. They're engaged as a contract bookkeeper, but if we're doing it at home, like in our office, well then we're using our own tools of trade. Sure. So therefore we're not an employee because we can prove, through the different, tests that we are definitely a contractor.
Yep.
But if we go to their premises, and if we say go there once a week or once a fortnight for 3 hours or 8 hours, how do we transcend that, that fine line that we're a contractor and we're not an employee?
I think in terms of legislation, I can't answer that, and I won't try to because I don't want to get anything wrong. But from a business perspective, if you have an agreement made between your client and yourself as a contractor who they're outsourcing business to, then that agreement stands regardless. Some of the issues they're facing from an ATO perspective is businesses who take on contractors that potentially want to be employers or don't want to be, or want to be classed as an employee of that business, not a contractor, because of the added benefits that come. So it's more around establishing a good groundwork in terms of what your arrangement is and what your agreement is, and having that in your terms of business or contract or whatever it might be that you call your information that you give to clients, and making that a solid groundwork. So both are on the same understanding. It's when one party decides they want that relationship to change, that's when the issues come. Because as a contractor, if you decided you wanted to become an employee, if you regularly go to that place of employment, if they provide you with the equipment and the materials that you need to do your work, if you have done it for longer than 6 months, then you then have grounds to say that you would like to be permanently employed by that client. So it's more about the arrangement. In terms of legislation, I don't know. It's more about a means test, so asking yourself those questions to determine whether you are a contractor or whether you are an employee, and then going from there. Does that answer your question?
Oh, yeah, but I just like to find out the legislation. Because, I mean, like, if you go to a regular client, once a week, you use their computer, which they supply, you do a variety of things, yet, like, it's not your main client, perhaps, like, there's a fair scope, but if in a lot of the audits that we've seen, especially with builders and tradespeople and things like that, they're being pinged for superannuation, payroll tax. They're classifying them as not being contractor, as they are being classified as a contractor, but contractor underemployment.
Julie, that's part of the answer to if you have a broad range of clients, you are less likely to be deemed an employee. Where those builders and stuff get themselves into trouble is where they're only providing service to one client.
My understanding is if your job's core to the business, like a bookkeeper's not core to the business, we go into different clients, but the likes of the builder and a driver, some companies have the drivers and they put them under contract, but they're core to the business, that's what a business is, delivering parcels and that. That, to me, is what the legislation is targeting. People that are core, I think that was a word in the legislation, core to the business.
This is a curly question, Julie. There's probably 20 years worth of case law on this. I guess you've got to remember there are also different rules for each one of those. The super rules are different to your tax rules, to your workers' comp and your payroll tax. And the core thing is control. Do you control that person? And that comes down to, as Jade was saying, do you control it by providing the premises? Do you basically make that arrangement and set the rules? So if I've got someone that comes in and I say, I want you here 9 o'clock every Monday, 3 hours, these are the duties that you're going to do, I control that relationship. If I say, Julie, I've got 3 hours work a month, and you say, well, I'll come in when I don't have anything else to do and I'll take it home. Sometimes I'll do it here. You're calling the shots. Okay, so control is the key thing. Every single one is different though.
I was going to say something. Last week there was a gas agent update, because I know a few people went to it, and from the ATO's perspective, they mentioned that there's a employee versus contractor tool that they've got on their website, that if you answer it honestly, this is what they said, if you answer it honestly, they will abide by the outcome of that tool. Apparently.
Yeah, he says that, but it also says on that calculator that none of this will be, they're not responsible and they can't state it as being accurate. Yeah, there's no way. It says it on it.
You did say if you print it out and you have that there, saying this is what I decided because of these questions. These are the questions, these are the answers. And it said, I'm a contractor. They said the tax department will accept that.
Did he? And we can put Robert Snell.
Robbie Snell.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. He didn't say that.
Can I just clarify on that note?
Oh, just another
Sorry. I've seen that too, and I agree 100% with what you're saying, but don't rely on that for your super, your workers' comp or your payroll tax, because it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's where we're seeing the audits. Well, I'm seeing the audits. Super guarantee.
Yes.
Super guarantee.
And I wouldn't be too concerned about you guys as bookkeepers. What I've heard a lot of it's coming out of Sydney, where there's large construction firms and hiring young 18-year-old guys, making them get an ABN. So they're avoiding the workers' comp, they're avoiding the super, they're avoiding the pay to withholding tax. And the tax office are left with this 18-year-old with an ABN who hasn't paid any tax, and so it's coming out of that area more so than the legitimate contractors.
There is one certainty with all the different groups. Cop an audit from one, they find something, they'll swear black and blue that they do not pass on the information. So workers' comp will tell you that they do not pass on their information to payroll tax. I'm here to tell you, you get hit by one, you'll get hit by more than one.
Yeah. Been there, done that.
Okay. Great. Okay. Was there a question from?
Sorry, yes. My question's for Jade. Jade, could you just let us know the approximate costs associated with hiring staff through an agency?
Yeah, sure. Depending on the industry, it changes. I guess you guys don't really need to know about trades and engineers and stuff like that, but candidate short market, which would include trades and engineers, those fees are a little bit higher because we're having to go internationally to source candidates for those roles. In administration, accounts, bookkeepers, you're looking at around 12 to 15% of their annual salary, including super, as a standard fee. Different agencies will charge different amounts. That's kind of what we charge at Forsyth Recruitment. And then those fees then again can be structured in such a way that suits the client. So you can either pay a full fee up front, we can structure them into part payments if that works better, or if a process was going to be fairly easy, we could look at flat fees. So if we knew we wouldn't have to advertise, if we already had great candidates on our database ready to move for you quickly, you would look at a substantially reduced price to that percentage.
And how do we go about engaging you to?
The general process would just be to give us a call or shoot through an email. Usually call, because then you'll be directed to the right area. From there, we like to come out to businesses and get an opportunity to see where you work, what you do, get a good appreciation and understanding of what your business offers, the culture that you're providing and the requirements to the role, as opposed to just take a quick brief over the phone. We find that we get a better response from our candidates and also from our clients if we're making that match better than, I guess, just putting someone who might have the skills but might not be the right fit for the role.
Another one for Jade.
Yeah.
Okay, you've got someone in on your recommendation.
Yep.
You have them in for a couple of weeks, but you'd like to put them on full time.
Okay.
Is there some sort of fee to
transition
them? Yes, from your books to our permanent position?
Yeah, usually what happens is there's a temp to perm transition fee. So what we would do, again, the same kind of fee structure would stand, and any kind of profit that we've already made from that temp is then reduced off the price. Sometimes we get clients who keep a temp on for 2-3 years and then after that time decide, will we have the capability now to take them on permanently? And from there, it's just a $500 fee or something like that to transition to.
But you've got to go a couple of years to get $500, or
yeah. So
after a month?
After a month, you would just take away whatever we've already earned from that temp, and that would be subsidised off the total fee. So, for example, you employ an admin manager. You're going to pay them $50,000 plus super. Our fee is going to be $5,500. We've already you've had them for 2 weeks, and we've already made $500, $600 off them. You're just going to pay the difference.
Oh.
Yeah. Thank you. No worries.
Sorry, while you're standing.
Yeah.
I know some of us have probably tried to get employees before, like through Seek or the paper or things like that, and we've got candidates in, we may feel that they're good or maybe not quite there. So say we've ruled them out and we decide to go to you, for instance. What are you going to give us that's different to those people applying? Because I know some people have got the same candidates applying for those ads in the paper as through the recruitment. So what will we get extra by going through a recruitment place?
Sure. I think the first point of difference from other recruitment agencies is that we come out and actually meet with you one-on-one. So first of all is getting that understanding of what it is that you need, maybe issues that you've faced in the past recruiting the roles yourself. Identifying maybe some of the skills or some of the characteristics that those staff that you have trialled that haven't worked out have had, and try and steer away from them. Some points of difference that we can offer though in terms of the recruitment process is things like psychological tests. They're called... there are other tests, and I won't go into the specific names because they're letters and numbers and what have you, but basically tests to find out people's aptitude with regards to stress or pressure, how they're going to go with numbers, sales, whatever it might be, to really, I guess, identify candidates who are going to suit what it is that they're going to be doing and that are going to stick around long term. Reference checking usually helps as well, talking to previous employers and finding out how those staff have gone in the past, but I guess the service that we offer is much the same to what you would do yourself. However, we're constantly interviewing people, we're constantly meeting with businesses, and I guess our market knowledge is we're a little bit more aware of what's happening out there, and candidates who you might meet on a one-off, doing a recruitment process once a year or something like that is a little bit different to meeting 20 to 30 people weekly, and it makes it much easier then to determine if people are telling the truth, whether their skills are correct, and being able to go into an interview where someone isn't actually applying for a position, they're a lot more casual with you, so we get a lot more information from candidates that way, and then better able to match, I guess, candidates to the right job.
Brett, I've got a client who's bought a property and they're not settling till October. They're paying the deposit today. Can they claim the GST on that deposit?
On a residential property or commercial property?
No, it's a commercial property.
Commercial property on the deposit, I would say on settlement.
In October? So what was it?
Settlement.
That's settlement?
Yeah.
Oh, Brett, while you're up, sorry. With directors' loans, different accountants have different ways of dealing with them. How should we handle these from a bookkeeping perspective? Is there a hard and fast rule?
No, there's no hard and fast rule. Different accountants handle them different ways. The tax office don't like them because people are pulling money out of the company virtually tax-free. So back in 97, the tax office brought in these rules called Division 7A rules. So I don't know whether that terminology anyone's heard of, but Division 7A deals with these directors' loan accounts. The only thing that I like or ask or I do in accounts, and if bookkeepers can do, is try and keep the directors' loan accounts in different years. So you might have a director's loan account 2011. When you roll to, because you need to isolate the loans.
Yeah.
So when you roll over to 12, create a new director's loan account.
I actually have a question for Lenore. It's completely out of control, but Lenore,
should I be scared?
Well, you've written a book, and I think you've written some ebooks.
Not so much.
You're very familiar with ebooks, and you're also very good with social media. So, and for those of us who are branching out to social media, what do you think? And of course, this is also to Shirley as well, being both business coaches. What ebooks could bookkeepers write for the small business community that they would download?
The key thing that if you're going to write a book for business owners is you want to provide a solution to a problem. So you want to actually do your research about what are people searching online, because you're going to want an e-book that people are going to want to go buy, right? Otherwise it's just going to sit there on your website. So you really need to do your research about what are people searching for, what problems, because people often search on Google for a question. How do I do X, Y, Z?
Yeah.
Help with my business or help with my accounting or help with my bookkeeping or something like that. So you want something...
Pay my loan off quicker.
Yeah, all of that kind of stuff. So people are looking for solutions to their problems. So I wouldn't write anything until you do all of your research and you find out what the market wants. Yeah. It's a bit like setting up a business. If there's no demand, there's no point.
Yeah.
So the first thing is research.
How do you research though? Just Google?
So we can have a whole day seminar on how you would do that. But you do need to, you need to look at You would start with Google, you start looking at what your competition's like. You definitely would need to do keyword research and understand what the competition meant in keyword research. And I could keep going, but if you're not familiar with the terms, you're going to go, what is she talking about? But there's some preparation to do, and I would really encourage you to find out what they want first before you go on. And you run surveys online and actually do that first to get the answers to your questions as well. But that's the short answer.
Can I add to that?
Yes,
because this is something that we're looking at doing at the moment, and there's 3 key questions that you can ask people, and I would like to ask you if you would give us this information as well. That is, what is your biggest fear, challenge or frustration around bookkeeping? What keeps you up at night? What concerns you? What keeps you awake around bookkeeping? And if you could, maybe for you it's not bookkeeping.
Or your clients.
Or your clients. And then if you could fix that, what would it be like in an ideal world? And so therefore you've got your avoidance of pain and your move toward pleasure, so that then you create around that. And if anybody's interested in giving us that feedback around their business, either in systems work or in people development, then I encourage you to put your name down on this, because I would love to find out, and as a result of that we'll give you a special consultation.
great. Oh, thanks, Shirley.
Can I add something else too for that? And that is that why you're writing the ebook. What do you want it to do for you? Because you can sell a one-off ebook, but what's the point in that? Are you writing it so people come into your funnel so you can do something else with them? Are you going to sell them other products? Are you looking to generate clients out of that? Like, there's got to be, you need to look at the bigger purpose of why you're doing it. Or maybe you just think you can write a book that you're going to get a bazillion sales and have it ticking away in the sidelines. But, I think there are less of those than you would be led to believe.
Yes. So, yes, if you're talking ebooks, Vici Curtis does the Making the Most of MYOB. Yep. She's got a couple of ebooks out there.
Yes, I've actually seen it.
Yeah, she's got a couple of ebooks out there. So if you're looking for sort of bookkeeping stuff, she's got a couple. I haven't seen them, but I've heard that they're quite good. Like, they're only 10 or 20 pages and between about $30, $40 for small chapters. So out of her original book.
Thanks, Jo. Thanks. I've got a question for Deb. And, Fiona, I think I had a question. But, Deb, MYOB have been talking for bloody years about iCloud, not iCloud, but cloud technology.
Oh, yeah.
Is it ever going to come out?
Apparently. We Certified Consultants have been asking the same question, because last year we went to the Partner Connection and they said, okay, we're bringing out cloud technology, and this year we came and they're saying the same thing. So just to give some idea of the timeline, they're going to, in November of this year, they'll be releasing the new account rights standard product, but that will be desktop only. So everyone will, the idea is you get used to the product and the upgrade. It's there's going to be a fair few new features involved, and then in I think they're saying by about March 2012 that the cloud technology is coming into place. And the big thing about it is we all want it to be good when it comes out, but I think they've made their research has shown that people do not 100% trust the cloud at the moment. So I think it's a really great idea. So you've got your desktop version, you're sitting at your computer, you've got your cloud technology that anyone else can access it, and if at any time anything happens, your desktop version takes control. So that's your live active version. So if you can't work on the cloud, you've always got it on your desktop, and that's the way approach that they've taken 2012 quarter one.
Okay. It's a bit of a cop-out, really, honestly. No, because I like QuickBooks, but I've been an MYOB user for, for 10, 15, 11 years. But I use QuickBooks, and I actively recommend it now, because QuickBooks Live is sensational. It's got the full features there. It's cheaper than MYOB and what they're going to sprout to be live. And QuickBooks these days is so user-friendly. like I recommended it yesterday to two ladies who growing and need a package, and yet they both don't work in the same office. And I said, well, MYB hasn't, put out anything. But why do we have to go through another upgrade?
Yes.
And pay more money?
$600. What's $600 for a tax payment?
This is my objection. And we're not attacking you, Deb.
I know.
But it's just, this is
I know. Okay, all I can say is for the technical people in the room, MYB has a totally new, different programming language. So that you'll find it SQL for the tech people. Yeah, but we won't talk about QuickBooks. All I can say is new, improved, and I think I agree with the tax table thing. That's a little bit of a rot. New features, every year. Personally, I think QuickBooks brings something out and MYB copy it, and then MYB brings something out and QuickBooks copy it. Yeah. But it's a win-win situation. We're all working towards, and everyone's always going to. Is it Holden or Ford in the old days? For those old people who can remember that. So it's really going to be, and it's great. There's more options. There's a lot more options out there, and personally, training and ease of use, I pick MYB, but you might be right there that QuickBooks is moving towards a user-friendly environment. So,
I didn't mean to get so passionate about it. It's just exactly what Dean just said. That $600 tax table upgrade that they bought out last year was just abysmal. It was just the
That's fairly up to you.
I know. Yeah. But you can get it. It's $400 from FGH or whatever they're called, and it slides straight into MYB, and there's no issue. $55.
Oh, it's all right. That's good. Okay, so we've got about time for about 3 more questions. Lou?
Anna, I've got a client who's like he's going to probably terminate a few people.
Right.
And just a bit worried about the leave loading on the accrued annual leave. Will you be working out leave loading on that, or will we just terminate the very way?
Yes, you should be paying leave loading on accrued annual leave. The rules changed, I think it was 1st of January 2010. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Fair Work.
Fair Work, yeah. And what it used to, the rules used to be that when you terminate somebody, you would pay their leave loading on their annual leave up to their anniversary, and then any leave accrued after that point up to termination, you would pay no leave loading. But they've now changed it so that you pay leave loading on all annual leave accrued. And it's retrospective as well. So if you've got, so if you've got people that were terminated, prior to now, and those rules were in, they can actually come back to you and ask you to pay.
So do they come back to you, or do you have to actively go out and seek them?
No, I will wait till they come to you.
I'm going to come knocking on the door, eh?
Yeah. Shall we tell Jason?
If they're under contract and they're not entitled to leave loading under contract, then they
it's a little dicey. It will override certain awards that say they don't get leave loading. If it's, like you say, if it's contracted into their wage, for example, or their salary, then no, that doesn't count.
Are you sure? Because I thought, this actually came up in our payroll reports, didn't it? About that even like a salaried person who's on, like an engineer on, say, $80,000, $90,000, and they don't get leave loading, during the year or a year like that.
Yeah.
Yet if they were terminated, you are obligated to pay that.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. But if they've actually got a written contract that states, for example, in our office, we have it, written in that our annual leave is included. Like our salaries are topped up a little bit to to include our leave loading, then that doesn't cover.
That's why none of us
But on termination,
No.
Tony would have to pay it to you.
No.
Oh, he doesn't.
No.
Because it's under contract.
That's right.
Right, all right. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, we effectively don't have leave load.
Yeah, well, you don't have holidays, you're not allowed.
Yeah. We just work 24/7 anyway. So.
I'm reading on Facebook all the time.
Just following on with that, what about long service leave? They've only been there, 6 years.
Yeah.
They're paying long service.
It depends on the reasons for them leaving. So
I'm terminating.
so if you're terminating, then yes, you have to pay them that accrued that long service leave up to the point. So from 5 to 6 years. Yeah.
Over 5 years.
Sorry?
Over 5 years.
Yeah, so it starts accruing at 5 years, and then they're entitled to take it from 10. But if you terminate between 5 and 10, then you have to pay them their accrued. It depends on why they leave. So if they're leaving for maybe a pressing personal illness or something, which includes maternity as well. So if someone leaves to go and have a baby, then you do have to pay them. But if they're just resigning to go to another job, then no. But I think they're actually trying to change that. I was reading something the other day about that they're actually trying to change the rules there.
Another question? Yeah, I've got one. It's a little bit dicey. A client of mine actually has an employee. In her contract, it's not, they actually get paid split shifts. In the contract, it doesn't actually say when you work full-time, you don't get a split shift. She has come back to me and said, I want a split shift for even when I work all day. And I said, no, you can't do it. She says, no, my contract doesn't say that. What do I say to her now? A split shift is for a split shift. She wants a split shift allowance for the full day because it's not specified in the contract.
Question.
Shall we can probably have to sort of research that one for you.
Termination.
That's a fair, you'd have to call Fair Work.
We'll have Angie will have to research that one for you, mate. Yeah, that's a bit of a tricky one. That's more like a Fair Work thing.
Yeah.
Which is industry. She thinks like her attitude is that it's not.
I would call Fair Work. They'd be able to tell you over
Fair Work. Okay, I have a quick question. It's actually to Peter, but it could also be Lloyd, but Lloyd, you don't own about intellectual property, so you probably can't help.
As if I do.
It's about Excel spreadsheets. Do you know, or Lloyd, or anybody, if you all know, if you develop a program on Excel, a tool on using Excel, and it's fantastic and it's a great concept, it's never been done before, and if you wanted to sell that and patent it, because I know that you're very good at Excel, you've got lots of spreadsheets and stuff. Can that actually become yours, or just because it is on Excel spreadsheet, does that have to pay something to the Excel people or Microsoft, or is that program that we've developed or the tool using Excel, can we own it?
As far as I understand, the Excel product, which gives you the functionality to prepare spreadsheets, is what is owned by the original developers. Okay, what you do with it then becomes your own. And so you're entitled to do it. That is subject to the contractual arrangement. So if I was working as a full-time financial controller and part of my role was to develop something that suited that business, even though I was then could see its application elsewhere, unless I had a very loose employment contract, that spreadsheet would actually become the product of the employer, not mine.
Right.
Unless I could show that the arrangements were that I developed it in my own time and it was outside my role as a financial controller. So certainly the property is yours. I think the challenge is that unless you then, I'm not aware that you can patent it. your problem is how do you then protect the model? Because basically if someone gets a hand on it, all they're going to do is start looking at the underlying formulas and replicate it. So unless you can password protect it or put it into some other file arrangement so that nobody can almost look back at the source underlying formulas, then you've got a problem. It's just open slate, and I guess that to some extent is the approach that I've taken. Any models that I prepare, I basically just give them to all my clients and say, hey, if you can use them, great, because I know the accountants are going to see it at the end of the year, and they're notorious thieves. They'll go and grab anything they can.
Well, the ones that are given to us, they'll be locked.
That's right, yeah. So, your problem is really protecting how you've done it, but I don't believe there's any sort of copyright or patent laws behind a model that's created using Excel functionality.
What about, not just mention there, what about QPDF or PDF Creator? Like, if you wanted to protect your spreadsheets, just send it out PDFs.
Oh, yes, you could do that, but that's not, in terms of that means though that you're preparing the information. If you're wanting to sell a product, that then allows people to use it.
I was just saying about the sneaky account.
Well, you would only provide it to them on a read-only basis, something like that, so they maybe can't look at the underlying model. Yeah, sorry, Brett, I'm not looking just at you.
Okay, so it's 10 to 9, so does anyone have any more questions?
Quick question.
Yes. Any quick questions for Fiona?
No, it's bloody fantastic.
If anyone isn't using QuickBooks, please take a free trial CD. They're all on the desk. And I learned to use QuickBooks years ago, and I started using my own business, and that's how I learned to use it. I practiced with my own business, and it is really good. I love MYB just as much, but they're both good programs, and I think as professional bookkeepers, you should know how to competently know how to do both programs.
Oh, okay.
And I think QuickBooks is a great opportunity for bookkeepers. Everyone knows how to use MYB, but very few people know how to use QuickBooks well, and it really is a good opportunity for anyone just starting.
Yes, I think
yeah.
Okay, so there's no more questions? We're all good? Okay, I'd just like to ask the panel if just one more opportunity if anyone would like to speak or share something before I dismiss you and go on to yes, Shirley. Dismiss you. Thanks, Shirley.
On your table there in the yellow piece of paper there, we've got our seminar coming up, Listen Up. It's on active listening. It's really good if you're in a complex situation or if you're looking at sales so that you can understand what your customer wants and reflect back to them. And the early bird special closed, however, we've got a special Uniting Bookkeepers. So if you wanted to register that, you can do it online. Use the special code UB and you can bring 2 people for $97.
Oh, fantastic.
So that's on Tuesday.
Thank you, that's great. Anybody else? Lloyd?
Far be it from me to suggest that some of your clients occasionally respond better to a stick than a carrot. But I think you've got a pretty fair opportunity to remind some of them who might be a little bit lax about wanting to have things lodged that there's some changes coming through. The final form hasn't been made public yet, but it involves directors' personal liability for some taxes, not based on the fact that they're unpaid, not based on the fact that they've received a director's penalty notice, but an automatic personal liability based on the fact that 3 months ago that form should have been lodged.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So the old days of the tax department not knowing what the liabilities were may well be coming to an end, because if you don't lodge, you've got a personal liability.
Is that in now?
they announced it. They announced that it was coming in from 1 July. They haven't got the legislation through, and we haven't got the detail. So we don't know if it's going to be retrospective. We don't know if it's going to be from 1 July. We don't know if it's going to be from the date that they actually enact legislation. So we're waiting to see the final form, and I'll let you know as soon as we do.
So it's a 3-month, say 21st of July lodgement for June. If you don't have it in by the 21st of October, it's then deemed to be...
Yeah, taking for example, if you're paying your PAYG monthly and you don't lodge the document, 3 months after it should have been lodged, you've got an automatic personal liability. Now, PAYG has been under the director's penalty regime, where you didn't get a personal liability until the notice period on a notice that was sent to you by the tax department expired. And so some of the more clued up dodgies out there worked on the principle that I don't need to worry about this until I get one of those penalty notices because it's not a personal liability. Well, those days I think are coming to an end. And it's not just going to be PAYG. There will be other areas attached. Certainly superannuation. Now, whether some of the others are going to be included in it, they're talking about GST, definitely talking about the PAYG.
So is everybody going to become a sole trader again?
I would shudder at that. I can still find you a little bit of protection in a corporate entity. So.
Thank you, Lloyd. That's tough. Anybody else from the panel would like to share before we close? Okay, Julie. So Julie's going to give our panel a little gift. Remember this. Yeah. And thank you.